Welcome to this episode of Let's Chat MetaPWR with our esteemed guest, Petah-Jane Auckland-Hall. PJ has been working with doTERRA as a Blue Diamond leader for 10 years, and she's passionate about coaching, guiding, and mentoring others to realize their potential and make an impact in helping heal the world. In the last few months, she's been diagnosed with some health challenges of her own, and she'll be sharing her progress with MetaPWR. Let's hear from PJ.
There's been a bit of a switch up in the way that we do things. We're talking about new things. We're talking about things that people may have never really come across before. Some of you might. But I do like to talk to everyone. And so what I like to do is bring you along on the journey. I don't do anything that I haven't already tried. So number one, that's really important. I definitely don't promote anything that I'm not comfortable with. And I have to tell you that MetaPWR is an incredible thing. So it actually came into being through the worst of the pandemic. And when I say the worst of the pandemic, those first few weeks, it was ready to be launched. And doTERRA held it back because it wasn't a good time to be talking about your health. And there was a lot of polarization happening across the world, and there was loads of confusion. And so they held it back for 12 months. So they launched it at the presidential and Blue, and a lot of my colleagues over there in the US were super excited. Sorry, I've got things interfering. And that's what twigged my excitement. Also, I was at the same point where I was feeling like I needed something else. Lifelong vitality is fabulous and wonderful, but there are other things. As more and more research and science comes to the foreground, there are other things that we need to be doing. And what was interesting was I'd been on MetaPWR, like many of you, when it was launched. I'm going to be completely honest here. I was disappointed. I had zero change. I did not see any of the benefits that others had, and I didn't give up because I knew that nutritionally, the micronutrients in this is second to none. So I knew that it was informing my body in some way, but I really wasn't getting the traction. I thought I would emerge out of this being, 50 kilos and a size 8.5. And I think a lot of people come into MetaPWR with the belief that this is going to be a weight loss miracle. It's not. What it does is it helps inform ourselves, no matter what age we are. It helps transform our life as we age. I'm 56, been through a lot in the last 4 or 5 years, just like many people have. And over this, I've experienced heartbreak, I've experienced great loss, many people have. And I noticed that the stress and grief had a massive impact in what I was able to do. I even went for a walk with Anna one night. Do you remember that? And she took me up to a mountain, amazingly. She drove me to the top. We didn't tell anyone that, but I got to the mountain. And just walking along that tabletop, it was so exhilarating, but it made me think of what I was like when I was much younger. And I would do that in a heartbeat. I was like Anna. And I would go out and I would go to the Lamington Plateau, and I would go on little, what we call hikes now, a very American term. We just go for walks through the bush. I couldn't do it anymore. And what I've noticed is, over the period of time where I'm sort of recovering from the grief that I've experienced, my body took a really big hit, and I'm just not able to do what I used to do. I noticed through sickness, it was taking longer to recover. I'm sure you guys can relate to that. And as it happened, the MetaPWR system, when it came out, started to truly transform the way I responded to things. So MetaPWR in my head. One of the things that I responded to really well was it seemed to tell my body that sugar was a no-no. I'd alleviated sugar, I thought. No, I had not. I had not really done the research. And what you may find, if any of you are in the MetaPWR challenge, and even if you're not, grab a journal, write down how am I mentally feeling today? And you're going to see a very big difference. You will be motivated to change things that have been in your blind side for a long time. So the first thing for me was my relationship with sugar, and then a relationship with coffee. We actually have a coffee machine there, and we never use it. And through COVID, that was like a horse. We were on it all the time just to cope. And we thumb up. And we realized, I said to Europe, when's the last time you had a coffee? He said, I don't know. I said, don't you think that's weird? And he went, yes, now that you say it, because we were on it 3, 4, 5 times a day, especially with what he was doing, is doing, incredibly stressful work. And we had completely changed. So watch for the signals that take sort of 90 days. And there are these 90-day windows, and it's going to take you on this little ride. And like every essential oil does, it's going to take you on this very unique, adaptive journey explicitly for what you need. And for some people, like my daughter, she lost 22 kilos. A shadow of her former self, although she was reed thin, like there's nothing to her, but she lost a ton of visceral fat. It wasn't the MetaPWR that did it. MetaPWR gave her the will to change. And this is where it's very, very interesting. So watch what happens if you start feeling weirdly or oddly, or suddenly you're reading, looking into different kinds of diets. That's the MetaPWR really working with you and bringing the energy to your cells, the desire to change, and it helps catalyze things. And I know that happened with Anna. Did I answer the questions?
Oh, it's fantastic. Thank you. And I'd love to hear, it's great how it's unique to each person and the way you describe that. Thank you. It helps us to realize, why it may not be working for you like it is for someone else. And journaling is a great way of keeping track of that. PJ, can you talk us through how you took the MetaPWR? And I know from hearing your story that you've tweaked it along the way. Would you care to share about that?
Yes. So everybody has unique needs. And what I found out, I actually went to the doctor, which I never do. All right. I was going for something else. Turns out that I was diagnosed with diabetes. Pre-diabetic, probably, this annoys me, but probably since pregnancy. It was 25 years ago. And typically, medical institutions will tell you, oh, well, pre-diabetic, talk to us when you're diabetic. Not good. Why? Because they don't have anything and they're inept with the knowledge that they do have, unless you get a good one. But they're few and far between and very expensive as well. So I was shocked because I thought I was doing all the right things. And I really was disillusioned because I was already on MetaPWR. Why was I diabetic? I was already on lifelong vitality. I didn't understand. And then it started to tweak. I travel quite a lot. I'm about to go traveling again for a month. And I started to realize that the MetaPWR was working on my energy levels, and I actually wasn't getting jet lag through many countries last year. Not one, many, many time zones, countless time zones. Not once did I have jet lag. Only I was approaching it a little bit differently. I was suddenly inspired, Holy Spirit, I don't know, to look at, I didn't want to put on weight while I was overseas, which is fairly easy to do. You also get hypertension, very easy to do. Your limbs will blow up in the plane, normal, but not fun. And I know that Smart and Sassy helped me for years going to Egypt. Smart and Sassy is MetaPWR. Well, MetaPWR is Smart and Sassy 2.0. So I applied that topically over my legs, and it really, really helped with the bloating and the swelling that can happen with the altitude. I also noticed that because I didn't have the jet lag, I was very, very keen to watch what I ate, and something tweaked maybe I should try intermittent fasting. So I did. I downloaded an app that does that. There's billions of them, billions. Make sure you get a good one. And I just started tracking when I was eating. I didn't eat when the plane told me to eat, which is a big thing. And I avoided carbs. I had great success. I came back home and I was not jet lagged and I had energy. And I kind of went back to my old ways. What happened? I put on weight. And then I realized, wait, intermittent fasting is going to work for me. Started to look again at the recommendations for the standard Australian diet. If you want to get diabetes, keep following it. It makes me so wild. And that's the mistake I made. I started to look instead at what would work for me. Some people go keto, someone go, whatever it is, everybody's individual. I went with high carb, sorry, beg your pardon, no, I did not. I went high fat, very low carb. And I was actually against that idea because I was raised that, you know, you had your carbs as the basis of your meals. Well, actually, if you want to be diabetic, if you're over 50, keep doing that, and that will be the result. So what was happening was I realized that I was heavily focused on micronutrients of the morning, which is what I need. I have a CGM, which a continuous glucose monitor, which I keep an eye on. I also have a blood prick one. Sometimes they're different but same. And I have managed to halve my A1C, which is basically the measurement for the glucose. I have managed to lower postprandial, which means post-meal spikes, and I recover super quick if I do have a bit of a spike that is out of my control. You know, I think I've been really good. What was the other night? I went for Euro Chinese. I'm like, babe, and he's like, pick something good. And I went, okay, I'm going to go for the chicken and vegetables. Yeah, good. Not fried food, yeah. Up to 13. Oh my goodness me. And this is all of the hidden sugars, the hidden flours, the hidden carbs that were in those sauces. Everything was so bad. I went straight for my assist and I take something else called glycine macrocetylsilate. Your body makes it, but we need more. And called Glynax, really good. And combined with the assist works really well. So I've managed to also, my decision was to focus on my nutrients. I also hydrate morning, noon, and night because most people are horrifically dehydrated. Water is not enough. We need salts, we need magnesium, we need potassium, and we need it in a certain microdose. We have it, and it's part of the MetaPWR range. Yes, you have to get them from the US. No, I don't know when they're here. The most important thing is they're here. Go get them. They're not available on points, but I can tell you this will change your life because salt and magnesium is what's required to help that energy or that ATP that's happening through the micronutrients in your MetaPWR. I then started realizing that sleep was a huge concern for me, and I mean massive. Most of you know I'm awake all the time, but it was starting to bother me. I was waking every 2 hours, and I was very resentful. I was getting to the point where it's like, I have a newborn baby. My newborn baby didn't do that to me. She slept for 8 hours. This is not fair. And I was dragging myself to the toilet, and of course, at that point, I didn't know I had diabetes, and it is a sign. Getting up a lot, guess what? Follow Jessie Inchaupe, Inchaupe. She's known as the glucose goddess. I don't agree with everything she says, not for severe diabetics, but the idea is definitely there. And one of the things she's passionate about is telling you what's wrong with your glucose levels. If you are getting up in the middle of the night, no, it is not age. No, it is not normal. It is a sign that your glucose levels are way too high. Your kidney and your liver are working in overdrive to get that sugar out. We're told it's salt. It's not. It's sugar. And that glucose is just pouring through your system. You have to wake up or you die. It's a very interesting stat. So you're meant to wake up because your body needs to get that out of you. The problem with it is how much sugar, and I'm talking carbs that convert to sugar. I'm talking proteins that also convert to sugar if you're overweight. If you're underweight, you'll have a completely different composition and maybe different experiences. It's sugar that gets you awake. So I was taking it in the morning. I started taking it at night. I take the cherry and pomegranate one because we all know tart cherry creates melatonin, don't we, from the Serenity Caps, also from America. Look, I don't care where they come from as long as they work. And they work. So I started taking these at night about, I want to say 6 weeks ago. Life-changing. I sleep through the night. I wake up in the beginning of the day. I get up off the bed and I go, right, did I wake up last night? I don't remember. So it's really changed significantly. The sugar and the glucose in my body is being changed by the MetaPWR. I take 1 drop, I haven't got it, of the MetaPWR blend. Please don't ignore your MetaPWR blend. It is the superhero. You think this is the superhero? This is really amazing. It's collagen, and we all need collagen. Creates glutathione. So important, okay? Never miss it. But you also need the oil. And what the oil does is it prepares your cell. So you have the cell here, and it prepares your cell for the micronutrients. Bioavailability is a huge issue, especially if you've been unwell or not great in terms of your wellness. Bioavailability means that if your cells aren't in the mood to take that in, you'll just excrete it anyway. So your essential oil goes into, sorry, this is going off like crazy. Your essential oil goes into your cup, and its role is to prepare you for the micronutrients that are coming. Please always remember that. It's something that's not well known, and it will certainly make a really big difference in terms of how your body responds to the MetaPWR system. The end.
PJ, do you add the blend to the collagen powder and water? Do you ever combine the two?
Yes, I do. You don't have to, and you can. Also is highly recommended to diffuse. So I think we overlook this. It can be used topically. I think we'll be taught about that. But as a diffusion, that's a dose. And so it will help uplift, motivate, also transform your metabolism. You can use it over trouble spots. Listen to this, okay? You may not believe this, but the oil changes your fat composition. Scientifically proven. That's what Dr. Ogisthorpe is. Have you seen his little grin? He's so excited because he's going to be releasing some papers around this. The grapefruit diet really worked in the 1970s because it changes your composition, but we're not using the flesh. So there's no contraindications for people with heart. Of course, your mileage may vary and everybody may want to do something else, and let them go with their intuition because they're probably right. But we don't use the enzyme. We use the pith or the outside of the grapefruit. Now, I just described a cell to you and what the oil does on the outside, and the grapefruit, we don't use the flesh, we use the outside of the grapefruit. So it's really going home to our cells. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's making sense. And then with the capsules, you're having it once a day with your biggest meal, or what's your protocol?
Everybody needs to use their judgment. So it really doesn't matter. And this is Dr. Ogisthorpe, I'm quoting him. It doesn't matter as long as you take it. So for some people, it may make a lot of sense to just have it before. If you forget, have it a little bit later. What you want to do is you want to mitigate spikes. There are other ways to do that. I already explained the Glynac that I take. Wow, that helps heaps. I'm trying to get my average glucose down to show my doctor that I did not want to have anything to do with metformin. Just a bit of a waiver. Metformin is not a bad supplement, okay? It can be taken, and it can be taken comfortably. I think it kind of gets a bit of a bad rap. The reason I didn't want to take it is because I didn't want the brain fog and I didn't want the upset tummy. I have so many people that come to me saying I need to get off this stuff for years. So it is harmless. Your body actually makes part of it anyway. Some of them have synthesized mulberry. Why? When we've got natural mulberry. But maybe there were no studies. So I just don't want to say metformin's out. But what you'll find is when people want to get off it, the assist makes sense. So it's up to you. Its job is to bring down the glucose spike. You only have a predetermined number of spikes, by the way, and then you die. Is that awful? Because it's true. So if you have, like, I don't know, God decides that you get 1,000 spikes and 1,000th spike, you're out. What you want to do is you want to mitigate the spikes and literally, dare I say it, flatten the curve. We want this, we don't want this. It does happen to me sometimes, the Chinese, oh my God. I'm like, I should have just gone, I don't know what I would have done, but it was a really bad decision. And then the next night, bacon and eggs, full fat, lots of butter. I'm allowed to have that. No spike, went down to like 5. And it does every time. It's considered eggs are, you can have eggs all day long, guys. 6 eggs a day, all of that egg nonsense. These were lies. These were lies. Salt, you need it in your diet. Telling you that you'll harden your arteries. That's how I was raised. It's false. Totally false. You want to dial back a sweet tooth. I can't do this, PJ. I just can't do it. I need sugar, I'll die. It's like, yep, if you have sugar, you'll die. So if you want to dial back your craving for sweetness, that's where assist comes in. That's where this comes in. Salt will dial back, and also salt takes in the nutrients, including magnesium, which is what we need, as well as the ATP that comes from the MetaPWR.
So you've taken us on such a journey, PJ, and your wealth of knowledge. Thank you. Again, if anyone wants to type in the chat and ask a question, we've got a few minutes left. PJ, how are you feeling now that it's been 18 months on? You're addressing the diabetes, and do you have some current benefits that you're noticing? And then my next part of the question is, what's ahead for you? What are you focusing on next with the help of MetaPWR?
Yeah. What am I focusing? Oh, okay. Yes, this is a big one. I am actually focusing on making sure that I can walk again. So I'm actually, you can't see, but I'm very proud. You might see it on social media. I've got some nappy slippers on. They're special orthopedic slippers that help the shape of my foot. I have a very unusual set of feet. They're pretty, but they're like no cartilage. So they need some special support, and I have these special sleeves on. It has been almost impossible to walk without excruciating pain. I can't tell you, even cooking is very difficult, and has been for about 20 years. As of tonight, I got the delivery today, these special silicone sleeves around my feet. I can walk, no problem, no pain. I can't believe it. So it's huge. Neuropathy is a huge issue, which I had not realized. So that's the next thing, is walking. So I do know that the more I walk, the easier it will be to lower the blood sugar. And what I want to highlight here, I mentioned to you about diet and selecting the right diet for your composition is totally important. Watching your glucose is so important. But I do want to say there are other things that contribute to your blood glucose. Things like stress, cortisol levels, and boy, have I been running that ragged. Just everyday stresses, interpersonal issues that can happen through your tree, worrying about the end of the month. Like little things become big things. And that's what I realized there was something wrong, because I was not coping very well. And I wasn't myself. You wouldn't have been able to tell, but I could tell. It was very hard to concentrate, and the electrolyte made all the difference. Brain fog gone, and these combined are so good. So the next thing is movement. And I did used to walk. We were a walking family. We always walked everywhere. My grandfather walked until he was dead. So, you know, why wasn't I walking? And I didn't realize I wasn't walking because I was in so much pain. And no, the oils did not help. Nothing helps because it's very tricky. Everybody knows that. So there you go.
And it's not something that's talked about often, I guess. So,
well, a lot of, if I reflect, most of my time I was pretty much ignoring me. I had 2 children from 2 marriages, 2 divorces. I had 3 other stepchildren. We raised 11 between us, Yura and I. We built a Blue Diamond business within 2 years. There's been a lot of stress and international travel layered over the top, which is a different kind. It's lovely, but it's a different kind of stress. So all of that layered on top, and then the worry about the last few years and, you know, spats in the family and people not talking to each other. You know, I'm the queen of harmony. I don't like to see people upset. So yeah, there's been a lot, and it has absolutely taken its toll. Shows up in the form of oxidative stress. How do you know if you've got oxidative stress? You're not coping. It doesn't mean there's anything mentally wrong with you, but it will affect you emotionally. Getting on top of the oxidation is super important, and that will help your longevity and your lifespan so that you don't end up crippled. And this is what they're saying. They've never seen anything like it. This age group, the Generation X, so 1963 down to about 1973-ish, they've never seen people so sick. The older gen, no problem. I know, because I see them in Egypt. They're all 100 and they're climbing all over the place and they're doing stuff. They're active like they're 25. Why? Plenty of sunlight, plenty of good food, plenty of whole fats. They didn't have the money for bread a lot of the time. My uncle was a farmer. They all live around here. We see how active they are. And that was because they were unaffected by the lifestyle choices that we were growing up with and the wrong information. doTERRA's put us right at the front of the latest evidence-based research. We need to be really excited.
so much gratitude for that. PJ, on a final note, if you had someone coming to you thinking about MetaPWR, what would you say to them if they were on the fence, still deciding?
Yeah, well, can't force them. So there is that. And one sachet isn't really going to do it. So we have the ability to sample people, and they're going to come back and they're going to go, and what was that about again? So really it's about trust, and it's about, what are you committed for? What are you looking for? It's no longer throwing people, not saying you guys did this, but it's no longer throwing product at people and hoping it will stick. There is a whole new approach. And this new approach is, let's work out what your priorities are. You cannot, Rome was not built in one day. PJ was not built in one day. I had a lot of damage to unravel. MetaPWR helped with the collagen. That kind of got me in. And guys, the collagen has nothing to do with beauty. The beauty industry has hijacked this term, reversing the aging process. Unfortunately, it is what it says it is, but the beauty industry is also, vanity has also taken over. Okay, I'm not interested in anti-aging or vanity. I'm quite happy to be 67 or 93. It doesn't matter to me. I will just get old and hopefully I'll look good. But it's not about that. It's about giving your cellular makeup the best chance through the fight of its life. That's actually what we're doing. We're giving people a reprieve from the fight of their life. It could be pain, it could be emotional, it could be nutritional. Eating 5 fruits and veggies a day is also false. 12 fruits and vegetables a day, it's false science. It doesn't count. What matters is your nutrition. What matters is that you can actually absorb it, and a lot of people can't. And what matters is you want to be able to be microdosing with micronutrients that will create a beautiful wellness foundation. And from there, and that's what Lifelong Vitality has been till now. And that's why they've dovetailed MetaPWR and Lifelong Vitality and bolted it together. If you are in a period of transition, menopause, late 50s, hormone replacement therapy, gosh, don't get me started. It nearly killed my mother. You just need micronutrients, okay? And if you've got those micronutrients established, and we want to get metabolic homeostasis, we already know homeostasis from AromaTouch. AromaTouch will also lower our blood sugar, by the way. And then we want this metabolic homeostasis so that we have the best chance at a full life. And then you can start giving back.